a pleasure to submit to somebody.
I was vibing with you, but then you lost me. You took a sharp
Where I
turn
lose you?
and you lost me.
Where I lose you at?
I was riding with you. We were bopping, we were going. Then you did a turn and brought back the submit.
Well, that's what the Bible says.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe in the concept of like in marriage, do you believe in the concept of falling out of love with someone? Do you think it's possible?
I think it's
possible.
possible.
And if you think it is possible, what can be done to because you don't believe in divorce. So if you fall out of love, what will be your remedy then to that?
Well, as a Christian, I don't believe in divorce, and but I've been divorced twice. I know that God hates divorce, and
start with the first part though, about the falling out of love. Do you think that can happen?
I say yes, yeah, I think it can happen, but at the same time, for a couple of different reasons. You're not putting forth the effort to keep everything going magically or whatever the case. I hate using that word, magically, or they just get bored with each other or something in that sense. But I think that, there's a supernatural love that's supposed to come over a marriage, and honestly, any relationship, but especially a marriage. And, there's the agape love that God actually commands us to have for everyone, and this love isn't necessarily based on emotion or feelings. This love is based on principle alone, basically principle alone. You know what I mean?
What will then your advice be for people that say they've fallen out of love? Because some people feel like they outgrow each other. Some people, let's say, for example, got married when they were 16. Mm-hmm. And they've been together 10, 20 years.
Right.
Said, before you respond, I want to just jump in real quick with my kind of response to that answer.
Okay.
And then you can go. But one thing I think is, it is just as gravity is a law of physics, a law of nature, that if you drop something, it'll fall. I think falling out of love is a guaranteed, which is the whole purpose marriage was created by God. Marriage was not, this whole idea, I can't remember who said it, I think it was Shakespeare, it said the romantic love and gunpowder were the two most destructive inventions, of this last millennia. And so the whole idea, in my opinion, from, looking at the Bible and everything, the purpose of marriage is for when you fall out of love and you're like, you know what? I'm sick of you. Well, too bad we're kind of shackled together, and then you fall in love again.
Yeah.
And then, because that's what happens is, you in modern day times, you got people, in that honeymoon phase, because even people who date and live together, they go through a honeymoon phase just like a newly married couple, only though they don't have that bond that was tied about them by the Lord, their family, and the United States, Wisconsin state, or whatever other state government. And so they enjoy the honeymoon phase, and everyone experienced, they call it the 7-year itch. Yeah. Whereas, as the kind of like the initial passions start to fade and they're getting used to real life, and he squeezes the toothpaste from the middle and he leaves the toilet seat up, and she clinks her teeth on her fork when she eats.
If you squeeze the toothpaste from the middle, I am divorcing you. I'm divorcing you.
Well, anyway, but you know what I'm saying? So those little things of life tend to drag on you. And so then at that point, most people who are just kind of living together, they're like, you know what? I'm out. And then they go find another one and they relive that honeymoon phase with another.
So they're chasing that high, that feeling.
Right. Where marriage then, as you fight through with the Lord, with each other, you fight through that lull, or in the marriage, if you want to call it that, that's when you break through to the deeper, pool of love, if you will, beyond the honeymoon phase. And that's when you can get these old people that are, you know, in their like 90s, been married like 60, 70 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're, you know, ridiculously happy together, almost like they're 16, but
Yeah.
it's such deeper love. That's the
So-
way I view it.
So yeah, and I agree with a lot of that. In fact, you know, the moral issue when it comes to marriage has changed a lot. You know what I mean? Whereas you know, back 20, 30 years ago, you know, 40, 50 years ago, they took on to those vows, you know, that they made before witnesses and before God. You know what I mean? And for better or for worse, it's something that's supposed to be something that you're supposed to take to the grave with you. Until death do us part. That is something that it says it. You're supposed to take to the grave with you. But we live in a time of, for one, immediate gratification. We live in a time of self-love. We live in a time of, you know, of 50-50, like I said before. You know, if you go into a marriage saying that I'm going to give it 100% in spite of, because God gives me more than 100% in spite of me, then, you know, it's not going to always be contingent on whether you're getting it reciprocated to you or not. It's going to be contingent on what you have control of, and you have control of your prayer life as well. And then let God deal with that spouse. You know what I mean? But you continue to show love. Go ahead.
Well, the reason why I asked your opinion for what I'm saying is, I think a lot of times people hold on to the fact that, yeah, back in the day, people were married for a long time. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I do agree that, you know, you see with a lot of old people, this connection that's past, like, okay, we can no longer get busy. You know, we're past that. We're like on a different level. We rely on each other on a different level. And that's a beautiful thing. However, one thing that I've learned is that there's quality versus quantity. And a lot of times we just heard people say, I was married for 50 years. And we're like, oh, and it's like working with old people. One thing I've learned is that a lot of times if you have them break down those 50 years, they were awful 50 years. Like, but when the person passes away, they don't say that. Or once they're old, they don't say that. They just say, oh, we've been married 50 years. And it sounds beautiful, but you don't know the deep layers behind that. So sometimes it was like out of the 50 years, 30 of the years, the person was abusive. Out of the 50 years, the person had 10 kids on them. Out of the 50 years, you know, like, so I'm just saying that although I do believe that marriage is a serious thing, I don't believe it's like oh, you jump ship, you know, because love is a you know, marriage is love is a commitment, it's not a feeling. I do, you know, my question was off of the strength of that people are going to go through these phases, and so they need realistic advice for how to get through that stage. Because yeah, you could stick it out and you'll see them maybe time, if you don't change it or have the right mentality, time will be, you'll be accumulating years. So if it makes you feel good to just know that, yeah, another anniversary can whistle together. I mean, if that's what makes you feel good, fine. For me, at this point in my life, like when I look at me being married, I feel like I don't care to add years on if they're going to be miserable years. Like, so it's about trying to make it quality. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you know that you and your spouse have fallen out of love, what can you do to reignite love? Like, what can you do to get it charged back up? Because, and you got to realize that just because you might decide to get recharged up, she might not, she might be like, I'm still good because the things you did, you hurt. So, you know, it's a battle that you take on in marriage, and it's a warfare that you got to be willing to fight. So I was looking for your opinion on your ideas and, you know, what that would entail or look like. Right.
And I mean, that's a good point too. Honestly, I say that the first go-to is to your knees, man. And going to the Lord, and for one, asking him to help you deal with you first. Because, you know, a lot of the times it's so easy for us to see the problems in our spouse or in somebody else, but, you know, we totally oblivious to what's going on with us.
Right.
You know, and so God has to work on us first. And as he work on us, you pray for your spouse, you know, and you suggest counseling. You suggest Christian counseling. And, you know, if your spouse don't want to go, then you go. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's all about what you can control, and you can't control your spouse. You can only control yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so with that being said, since we want to be in a phase of self-care, that's self-care spiritually. That's self-care spiritually. Let's get the self-centeredness up out of ourselves. You know what I mean? And let's get the let's let God be our self-esteem and let God build us up so that we can have confidence in him that's much more above any confidence we can have in ourselves. You know what I mean? Because we're flawed, And so and honestly, when you're going through it, it's hard to be humble, especially for men, and it's hard to, especially when you don't think that you're in the wrong.
Hey, can I interject something right quick while you're, riffing on that?
Go ahead.
I noticed that, I can't remember what preacher said it, but he said, notice in the Bible, there are a couple places where the Lord says, husbands, love your wives, but there's never once a verse telling wives to love their husbands. And he said that his belief was because love comes much more naturally from a woman to her husband than from a man to his wife. So what do you all think on that one?
That's true.
I mean, I agree. It says wives, respect your husbands. And for husbands,
I don't know what version you use, but it said wives submit to your husbands. Says wives
snap now.
Well, to submit, you got to respect someone to submit to them. So basically, to me, I think
it depends. Because
submit to someone that you don't trust their judgment.
Well, because like there are all right. So God judges the heart, right? And there's a reason why Jesus made the new commandment, but he says if you lust for a woman in your heart, you committed adultery in your heart. You know what I mean? And so like it's so much like submitting is more than just an outward thing. You know what I'm saying? It's an attitude about it. Let's just say that I follow the 10 commandments because I don't want to go to hell. Are you going to be happy in heaven? You know what I mean?
I don't think that's submitting. That's obeying somebody. So
that's submitting, though. It's a form of submitting. It's obeying.
But it does say the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
What'd you say, bro?
I said that's the starting point. It says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so it's kind of like when you look at the Bible, it's the perfect combination of good cop, bad cop, carrot, stick. The Lord says, hey, listen, there's some things you can end up in a lake of fire, but also look how much I love you. So you can see, hey, look at the love he gave us. That draws us, but at the same time, just to kind of keep us stepping right, there's like, oh, hey, now you don't want to go over to that side too far because, eternal destruction. You get my point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what it says for submit, Sherene just looked it up. It says it has two different definitions. It says accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. And then number two is subject to a particular process, treatment, or condition. So there's a attitude to it that follows rather than just, but just like I think the agape love, there's an attitude that follows. How can I say that I love somebody just because I'm doing nice things for them, but yet there's nothing in my heart for them. You know what I mean? I think that the attitude will follow the action at times, because sometimes it's not there. You think about arranged marriages back in the day; those are still known as the highest successful rate. I
like arranged marriages to me.
What?
I'd like the concept behind it. I think that they make sense.
Yeah, I do too. So, yeah. Oh yeah. Me and TJ had conversations about it before. An arranged marriage, not all of them. They grew up together. Some of them like they come together, get married, and then like Isaac and Rebecca. You know what I'm saying? Like just so happened they fell in love then, but we don't know the ins and outs about everything. They had to get to know each other and all that kind of stuff. They were staying in tents, So I mean, like if you think about a lot of the arranged marriages, that love isn't there right away, probably, but the practice of it is there until it becomes something of feeling and emotion, maybe. You know, the same thing about the submission. The principle of it is there, and then it starts to become more of, you know, a pleasure to submit to somebody.
I was vibing with you, but then you lost me. You took a sharp
Where I
turn
lose you?
and you lost me.
Where I lose you at?
I was riding with you. We were bopping, we were going. Then you did a turn and brought back the submit.
Well, that's what the Bible says. I mean, you know, a lot of women
I agree with submitting, but what I'm saying is that to me, you can't truly submit to a person that you don't trust and respect. So you can do something out of formality. It's like if people doing things like the Pharisees doing things, but they don't do it with their heart. They're doing it for outward recognition.
Yeah.
So there's people who can be saying, "Oh yeah, I'm listening, I'm doing what he says," but in my head, I'm like, "Oh, he's an idiot. Why did he just tell me to do that?"
Yeah.
Like,
That's the
so
same thing.
to me, that's not true submission. I think
agree.
when you submit to someone, it's like you study that person. You're like, okay, I like how he can guide this ship. I like that he's a person that he could take direction. Like he's respectful enough to come and say, "Hey, where do you think we should go?" Okay, I heard you. I understand where you're coming from, but I think the best choice for us is to go here. And these are my reasons why. And then at that point, she's able to go to sleep. Like, I trust my man. If he said that, I know. That's not something that everybody has. I think a lot of people are married and like, they don't really feel that. Like he walks away and they're like, "Girl, he's an idiot. Trust me, I know." Like that's what they feel. That's what they. So you gotta have.
There's actually a biblical example of that.
Ooh.
We were just talking about it, David and
Mike Mikhail.
Nabal and
Abigail.
His wife, Abigail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nabal means foolish.
Mm-hmm.
and she came to David and told him
Like
that as his name is foolish, so as he is. So yeah, but
yeah, I think that
you can tell that she was a submissive wife.
A person and looking and seeing, you know, it goes back to what Sherene said about you spending time with a person.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate
watching them, you know, to see how they move. Like in complicated situations, does he get when he's overwhelmed, does he get rowdy? Does he get nasty? Does he get short with you? Does he reason with you about stuff, or is it like, man, just do what I said? So yeah, you have to be in those circumstances with people to know what they really are about. Because until those circumstances come up, they said that you want to see a person when they're broke, when they're sad, when they're mad, overwhelmed. Yeah, like all of those times, that's when you just take little notes like, okay. Not for me. So at that point, if you confirm, yeah, I like how he moved in those. Now I can surrender, I can submit because he's a man that he knows what he's talking about. And on that note, I remember I also saw Fantasia's husband, the singer Fantasia's husband was talking about submission. And he was saying that if you want to be a leader, you need to educate yourself. You need to read. You need to know to plan ahead for your family. Like you need to, that by the time a problem comes to your family, it's their first time hearing about it, but you already researched and thought about it. You know what I'm saying? To me, I think that being a man, that's what it looks like.
Well, can I ask this question though?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask this question? If the wife is the one deciding whether or not the husband is the leader, is he really the leader?
You're not deciding if he's a leader. You're looking to see if he has leader qualities.
Right, and that is then contingent upon your submission, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And so let me ask this. I just want to kind of flip it around because I find that if you always look at the reverse, it kind of helps ponder things through. So for instance, you know, the Bible is very clear that, you know, the husband and wife are both supposed to kind of keep themselves unto each other, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then also it says that the husband is to, you know, provide and protect his wife. Now, let's say she's not a hoe, she's not out, you know, cheating on him or whatever. So there's not biblical grounds for divorce. But let's say she's, like you said, not doing the housework, not taking care of the kids. She's a contentious woman. She's not a worthy wife. She's still a wife. He's still married her and all that. Could he then be like, look at this? She ain't, cooking and cleaning nothing.
But
She
there's
ain't.
men that
She
do
ain't
that.
no. Hold up. But what I'm saying is from the aspect, not what men do. I'm saying from the aspect of, well, if he ain't an appropriate leader, I'm not going to submit. Then can men be like, well, she ain't an appropriate wife, I'm not going to protect and provide for her. I'm going to get my own apartment, and then we'll still be married. I'll still be whatever, but I'm not going to be paying no bills for her. I'm not going to be buying her groceries and everything else, because you know what, she don't quite meet the level of what a biblical wife is.
So for me, I think that what we're talking about is the attitude behind what she's doing. Because initially we were saying that there's a woman that can follow, like it can give the impression or the appearance that she is letting him lead. But in her heart and in her mind, she's like, he's an idiot, So she's following, she's going with him, but she's
Okay.
I hate it here. I wish I picked someone else. Look at this dude. Here we go. Like she could feel those thoughts, but be doing what he wants her to do. And
got it. So then he could be like, ugh, I hate this broad.
And they do. That's
but
what
he buys her a box
There's
of chocolate.
women that make meals and the guy is eating it like, here we go with these French fries again. It happens. It happens. But what I'm saying is, when you say, will it take away from him being a leader, or him being a leader is dependent on her being willing to be led? I don't think that's the case. I think that a leader is a leader, right? And so when I say a leader, just because I can say, everyone stand up and follow me, and I take you all straight into the fire, I led y'all somewhere, but did I have leader qualities? No, because I didn't put no thought into where I was taking you. I didn't think about your best
interest.
Your best interest. So I took you somewhere. Does that make me a good leader? No. So you can get a husband and he take you lots of places, to hell, back, all over. Does that mean that you married a leader? No. So what I'm saying, and that's what I was saying, that when Fantasia's husband was saying that being a leader means you got to sometimes, well, a lot of times, educate yourself so that when your family comes, okay, let's say right now I'm sitting down and I'm thinking, my family is asleep, but I'm up thinking, if we were to come up on $10,000, what would be the smart thing to do with it? Do we have $10,000 right now? No, but in case it happened, I would invest, I would pay tithes, I would invest half, we could put this, so if when it does happen, it wouldn't be like, I don't know what to do with it, let's go shopping. No, like I already planned out what I was gonna do when we started making more money. And so this is the plan that we have in place. Let me roll it out and explain it. That's what I'm saying, that there's leaders and there's men that just, and females that just live and want you to follow them around. Me, I'm not following you around. You ain't taking me.
So I do want to kind of go back on your question, because TJ kind of jumped ahead of me there, which is okay. But I think when it comes to choosing your person, all of this should be put into perspective. Like I said, I had that ex that, as much as I wanted to move forward with her because I was comfortable with her and because of all the time that was invested, when I prayed about it, God was like, hey, it's your choice, but you're gonna be miserable. And I saw it. You know what I mean? He gives us the ability to, observe and to discern, and you see things and judge correctly. And you know when you're looking at the bigger picture of things, how it's going in. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times, I've seen a lot of people entering into relationships and then marriages based on hoping that the marriage is going to change the outcome of what it already is, what the person already showed them. You know what I mean? And most marital situations, and I tell people this when I counsel them, and I'm like, listen, the warning signs was there before, but for one, you didn't even want to hear them, or you ignored them. You know what I mean? The warning signs are always there, and you can make a judgment on whether or not you can deal with it or not, and when you make that judgment, and that's what I say, like, a lot of the times when, you enter into a marriage and your spouse ends up cheating on you, you had a premonition that was going to happen. Or your spouse ends up being physically or verbally abused. A lot of the times, I'm not saying all the time, because I know there are times when basically they just flip, you know what I mean? But that's an exception to the rule. That's not the majority of the times it happen. The majority of the times it happen, those red flags were already there. You know what I mean? And you noticed them, your friends noticed them, but when your friends try to tell you, either got mad at them or you changed the subject. And that happens for guys and girls. You know what I mean? It's like, man, when something do happen, you the only one surprised. Like, no, we weren't surprised. Or you hide that person from your family and friends. You know what I mean? And then next thing you know, you're in this relationship, and at first you was hiding them, and now they hiding you, and you ain't got no relationship with your family until you go into them beat up or depressed, or you know what I mean, or whatever the case. It was like, oh man, the man I was seeing is, like, well, like the only part that you got to allow us to see for the half hour we met him, was this brilliant, great guy.
I think that's a good point. And it's funny because I was actually saying that to one of my friends the other day. I actually hooked two people up. Yeah, I'm a matchmaker. But I hooked two people up and it's going pretty well, right? And it's his first time visiting the state that he was going to see her. I guess there was talk of her introducing him to her family. And so one of my other friends was like, what? He gonna meet your family already? I wouldn't do that because you don't even know if it's serious, if it's gonna work. I would wait. And so I said, okay, once again, I'm one of those people, I like to soak in people's thoughts. Even if it's different from what I think, I like to get your rationale and I like to see it and then make my decision. So I was saying that I could see it from both sides. I saw why my friend that was saying wait was saying to wait. Because now you bring them around all your family, they know this person. And then when you come in with someone new, it's like, where's Dave at? And it's like, why are you talking about Dave? I'm done with him. It's going to seem like you're bringing a lot of people around and it's not serious, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I said, I do understand from another point of view where sometimes, especially if you know that your family's opinion matters a lot, it's better to bring them from early. Before you start falling in love and all these feelings start growing, bring them from early so your family could be like, no. And then you could be like, sorry, champ, it's not working out. And you can let them go. But if you wait until 2 years, 3 years later, and your family said they don't like him, now you love him. So now it's like, I'm still gonna move forward. You know what I'm saying? So
the crazy thing, usually, especially if you got a supporting family, they're not gonna like that person because of the way that person's treating you. You know what I mean? And it's like, like you say, you wait the year and a half, 2 years, 1 year, and then you want to bring them around the family, and then by this time you attached to them, and now it's putting tension between you and your family now.
So the family has to have a different attitude, though. So people have to normalize having a different attitude. So when a person brings their person, you don't have to be like, so when y'all getting married? No, because it's like, listen, this is a screening process. We're not there yet, If people was to change that, then I think people will bring someone earlier. But when you got family that start acting like, okay, so this is it, you're like, nah, I'm not bringing people until I'm sure. And then the problem is, there's a con to that too. So I think, that makes sense what you're saying, to bring people from early, because I was on a thing one time on Zoom, and the guy was saying when your hand is on your face, like to your face, you can only see this area because it's so close to your face. People around you, because the hand is further away, can see the whole hand. So, when you're in a situation, you're right up in it. All you see is certain parts, but the people around you is the ones that you could trust to be like, girl. Or, so yeah, I think that makes sense, but it doesn't happen often.
All right, cool. So we did have one more thing on the agenda. There was a question on there. It came from TJ, and he wanted to know what your thoughts were about Christian fashion.
basically, are you saying, do I think that there's a standard of what Christians should have for their fashion choices?
Well, just one thing, I was randomly talking with some of the other ladies, that I've come across, and one politician. This is outside of the church, obviously,
Mhm.
but one politician from the Bible Belt actually penned a bill that hasn't gone anywhere at all, other than making like a news or TMZ or something. But he was going to put forth this bill to ban leggings and yoga pants.
That's been a while ago. That was from a long time ago, isn't it?
Well, I can't remember how long ago, but I'm just saying,
Oh, yeah, I remember.
So,
I
like,
remember hearing about that. That was like a couple of years ago.
right. And it's just like with the whole societal drift that's happening, in our culture, in our Western culture at large, but also, within our church, it's nearly indistinguishable. It's no thing to see, ladies coming in, to church almost looking like they're ready for the club or with some kind of other nonsense. So I just was wondering, what the female perspective would be, because I know dudes, we can just throw on any old thing and we're mostly happy with it, except I know Sid does like to primp and preen a little bit, throw on his bow tie from time to time. But I know ladies fashion is a near and dear topic to their hearts generally.
So for me, I would say that there is a standard, right? But I think that a lot of times people impose, okay, let me start by saying this. I think modesty is subjective, right? I think that although there's certain guidelines, like, for what the Bible says or Ellen G. White says, apart from that, modesty is subjective, in the sense of, I might think that I'm being modest now, and somebody else might be like, not at all, so it's all, to me, what I basically feel is that you're supposed to do the best of your knowledge or what God has convicted you to do. So if you put something on and God is like, really, girl, with your butt out like that, and you still force and go out anyway, at that point, then yeah, you're going against what God has impressed on you to do. I don't believe in this concept of, you want me to wear a skirt down to my ankles, but in my heart, I really want to wear a skirt on my up to my thigh. You get what I'm saying? Because at that point, once again, we're at a place where I'm wearing what you find appropriate, but am I happy doing it? No. I think that people, where a person reaches in their spirituality will show in a lot of things. So let people get to that level authentically on their own. Once a person is building a relationship with God, naturally things change. The things that you might like things blinged out or whatever. You'll see that with time, as you build a relationship with Christ, is like, I don't really need that. And people be like, wow, you're not using that no more. Like, yeah, I changed. Let people build that authentically. So do I think the church should have a standard? Let's say if somebody comes with leggings and wants to go up to do scripture reading, I think they should, because everyone has a dress code for everywhere. Court has a dress code. Restaurants have a dress code. So a church should have a standard for, it's like, yeah, if you come in to go up to the front to do something, I do think that you should look a certain part. However, I think this concept of, I think sometimes people get too caught up on her nails, her hair, her this, her, all of these things. And you're not worried about, does she have a real relationship with Christ? You just want to know what she looks like on the outside. Instead of worrying about that, try to nurture and to strengthen her relationship with Christ, and you'll see things naturally fall off on their own. You won't have to be like, lose this, pull that down, bring that up. No, as you find value through Christ, you're gonna be like, maybe my titties shouldn't be out, or maybe yeah, like, your mentality would change. And at that point, it won't be like, oh, I'm dying to have them out, but I can't. No, it will be like, I'm better than that, so I don't even really need these.
Hey, that is a really good answer. In fact, you know, me being a man, when I came into the church, you know, I noticed that, you know, things were different about me, you know, like, for instance, you know,
The throwback jerseys.
I don't think I ever wore a throwback jersey to church.
He
You did
did.
too, bro.
He
You
was
did
in
too.
Wisconsin with a throwback.
I know I didn't wear a throwback jersey to church. I wore button downs, you know, button
The
ups. and
first
stuff
time
like
I
that.
met
But
you at the Daniel Revelation seminar, you was in a
That-
throwback, man.
for one, that's different. That wasn't church. That was a Wednesday night or whatever the case.
It's still in the church house, bro.
I like you, TJ. He had a throwback jersey.
So you mean to tell me? Okay. So you mean to tell me?
Did he have one?
That's what it was.
He had a fitted on. He had a fitted on too.
Probably.
He
I
had
can't
Tim-
remember all that kind
he
of
had
detail.
he had Tim's on.
Most
I
likely.
probably
most
did,
likely.
but the thing is, this is the thing though, right? What I wore was what was popular to go to the bars and clubs in. You know what I mean? And I did wear a lot of button downs, but I wore those. And for one, I wasn't. That was when I was just coming checking it out. You know what I mean? I was still
You don't have to
smoking
defend
and all that stuff.
yourself. You don't have
Huh?
to. It's okay. You don't gotta defend yourself. We just
I'm
have
not defending myself. I'm saying like, you know, I'm comparing the time because there was a time span from when I went to go check it out because of the flyer that I got, you know, because of what I was going through at the time and how that flyer was right on time. And you know, when I actually gave my heart to the Lord. Now, the attire was the same, but I was more conscious about my attire when I gave my heart to the Lord, as opposed to when I'm just going to go check out the church and see what they have to say. And that's what I was going to say. Like, okay, you know, my fashion for church changed throughout time. The more I got into it, you know what I mean? And you know, at first when I'm going in there and I'm like, okay, you know, the baggy clothes, I don't know. You know what I mean? Let me go to Savers and see what kind of suits they got. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I want to put a tie on, a button up that, you know, that I could tuck in, you know, that fit a little better. You know what I'm saying? And you know, maybe I should make, because I had hair then. I had a lot of hair then. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, maybe I should make sure I stay my hair is done, you know, nice before Friday, you know, before Friday night. But
like, thank God for growth, honey, because you wouldn't have stood a chance back then, honey. You
hold
would
on.
have.
I would say I would look mighty good with my long hair. I did. But anyway, we're not going there. Like I said, you know, I transitioned.
Hold up, bro. You got to be cool with that phraseology this in 2021. You can't be just saying like you transitioned like it's nothing. Just saying.
Anyway, I don't get what you mean by that. Huh?
Transgenderism and all that. When they say they transitioned.
Nah, man. Nah, everybody know what I'm talking about. For one.
Right.
And for two, you know, like I had these huge diamonds in my ear too. You know what I mean?
Oh
and
yeah, I remember that. Now you say that.
I got conviction about that. You know what I mean? I took them out, and you know, so what I'm saying is, like, you know, like what you said, and the cool thing is nobody in church told me anything about what I was dressed. Not one person approached me about how I was dressed.
Yeah.
Not one person.
Can I throw something out real quick?
Say that anything should go. I don't believe in anything go type of thing where like,
right.
Oh, you know, let's say you're going to go up to preach, or I remember my church was strict. The church I grew up in, my church is strict, honey. People will come to sing and they'll have nail polish on. They'll be like, show up with nail polish remover, like, please remove that.
What?
My
Wow.
church don't play. The Pathfinders couldn't even play the drums in my church. They had to play them outside. Like outside, we marched in with the drum. Like my church was the real deal. Like if your skirt wasn't a certain whatever, you ain't going up. So I do and you know, and with that, I might have grown to a certain level of like, okay, maybe the drums, I like now I don't think anything wrong with drums in church. So I might have deviated to a certain standard, but I would never be a person that thinks like, there shouldn't be a dress code. People can do whatever they want. I'm just not. I respect to teach their own, For me, like even when they try to convince me to do dress down Sabbaths, my church in Louisiana used to die laughing. Like Charlene's still going to show up with her heels, and I sure am. Like I sure am. I'm not doing dress down
Yeah.
Sabbath with nobody.
Yeah,
Because
because
I don't
I think we should reverence the sanctuary,
and I
but
think, like I said, you did your best.
but and that's where I mean that's where I was trying to come at. Like, you know, you come as you are. You come as you are. Everybody ain't on the same level, and I love how you talked about, like, you know, because it's too many times I hear about a mother of the church, or you know, or the pastor's wife going up to some little girl or some young woman and saying, you know, and checking her about how she dressed. She's been going there for 3-4 weeks or months, and she ain't saying not a word to her, you know, to get to
I
know
heard
her.
a saying once
You
that
know,
said, I heard a saying once that said, truth without compassion is cruelty. And so
yes,
sometimes people feel like,
yeah,
oh, because I'm saying the truth, it's
yeah,
like I'm doing something. If you don't have compassion in your truth and you don't have love in your truth, it's just you being mean. So at the end of the
right,
day, yeah, what you might be saying might be true. Like, girl, I could, if you've been over to pick a paper up, I'm pretty sure I'll see your behind. That might
right,
be true. But there's a way that when you
exactly,
rapport with a person, that you could be
yeah,
like, you're a beautiful girl. Let me tell you
right,
something, girl. You're beautiful. You got a beautiful body, everything. But you don't
yeah,
want people to see your goodies. So you got to make
yeah,
sure that you pull it down. And yeah, there you go. You got to
yeah,
know how to do. There's a class and a way to
yeah,
do things. And
yeah,
everybody feels like they're the one, like the Holy Spirit then leaned on them and told them, no, it's not for
yeah,
everybody. There's certain
exactly,
people that could
yeah,
tell you, there's people that could tell you your breath smells like poop and you're not even offended. You're like, thanks, man. And there's other people who will like crush you. So if God has not given you the gift of being able to say it without crushing them, leave it to someone else.
So
Pray for
Shar,
them.
Shar, we can't put in the bulletin board, you know, 2-inch heels and under is okay. You know, 3-inch and over, not okay. We can't have not
No.
rule like that.
No, I feel like, and you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I always used to have this discussion with my mother. I remember I worked at a Jewish hospital, and I remember the people being dressed so modest. So a lot of times, even sometimes you'll see other religions, the women would wear like the scrub skirts and the stockings and the shoes instead of wearing the pants. And you'll be like, oh, okay, I know that they're a church lady, but they'll be so nasty. They'll be some of the nastiest techs and nurses that I've worked with. And I used to be like, all right, so you got the whole get up that you don't wear pants and all of this, but you're nasty. You're very nasty. I would even want you to give me a bedpan, let alone like give me medicine. You're a nasty person. And but yet you're like, I'm modestly dressed. Okay, and you're also very nasty. So it doesn't matter. To me, I think that it's about, like I said, let people reach to their let God work on people,
yeah,
and you can be an example. People
yeah,
see how you dress, people see the effort that you put in. I remember I read somewhere where Ellen G. White was saying that the same clothes you wear in a week shouldn't be the same clothes that you wear on Sabbath. It should be something special about that outfit. So at the end of the day, yeah, like let people get excited. For me, I remember growing up, my mom worked 2, 3 jobs, and my mom was like a hustler and she used to grind it out during the week. But on Sabbath, I'll see my mom come out in a fur, and I used to be like, "That girl, you clean up nice. Who are you?" You know, like, but that was a thing that I will always remember that. So for me, when I dress up for Sabbath, yeah, I'm gonna come out with the best of the best of the best for Sabbath, because this is an exciting thing that I'm going to. I'm meeting with the King of King and Lord of Lords. So
exactly,
yeah, I'm showing up like it's a special event. So
exactly.
let them get that excitement and learn what that looks like for themselves instead of
Now
imposing.
I'm with you. I'm with you 99% here.
Mhm.
There's just that 1.1% that I'm little. Well, let me elaborate. So, yeah, some young thing shows up in like a club dress.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'm not going to say anything. I never would anyway. I might have to, you know, pray a little bit that the Lord gives me concentration on the preacher, but I'm not going to say nothing. A dude shows up, you know, I'd never be like, hey, you know, you sagging your pants too much, pull them up. But when it comes to that cover, when it comes to the hat, and I don't care who you are, to me, that is one thing that I'm like,
Yeah.
foyer, whatever. If you're in the gym, whatever, but in the sanctuary, that's where I'm like, oh, I just want to go up and be like, dude, come on, man. you know.
But again, I said it's not what you say, it's how you say, because a lot of people don't grow up knowing that they're not supposed to wear hats inside. That's something where like a principle type of thing where people know, like, okay, you take your hat off when you're inside out of respect. A lot of people don't know that, especially now where people wear fitteds like a part of their outfit. They're not gonna be like, oh, I'm inside, let me take, like, they don't know that. So it's education, and you got a big brother, big sister people, and take them
Right.
under your wing and be like, oh, I see your hat is fly, oh, I like that. But listen, when you're in the sanctuary or when you're inside a building, you can't wear a hat in there. Like, that's a no-no. When you step out, you say things in an appropriate manner and people will receive it, especially if you show them genuine love. If it's like, I never came over and said happy Sabbath to you, what's your name, how you doing, but now I want to talk to you about your hat. No, you can't talk to me about my hat. You don't even know my name. You never came over and spoke to me no other week, but now you have a problem, so you want to talk to me. So if it's something where you build a rapport, you're generally invested, like, hey, how was your week, every week? Yeah,
and to be honest with you, while you talking, TJ, I think I was wearing hats when I first came there. You know
I
what
know.
I mean? I had the
It
whole
was
get up
bugging
on,
me to no
you know?
end, man. I wanted to tackle you and peel it off, but I was like, nah, don't.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to do that.
Man, what you talking about? I'd tackle you down right quick.
Man, not in them days you wouldn't have. Man, hey, I was quick to throw hands then. Man, hey, you would not have wanted to do that.
Yeah, I'd throw a half Nelson.
Then I had my kids with me, they would have jumped on you too.
Sherene had her hand up about it, and you missed.
I'm saying,
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. Wait.
He doesn't have peripheral vision. He's talking about knowing how to throw hands, but he don't have peripheral vision. Go ahead, Sherene.
I know, but it was okay. Anyway,
burn.
I think there's a flip side to this whole thing, because as Christians, we have to know who we're representing. And the fact that we're representing royalty, we can't just say, oh, I want to put on this because it makes me look good. No. You don't know who you're representing going to church, then you put on anything, go to church. The second part of it is that the Holy Spirit is always convicting us. It doesn't matter what stage of our Christian life we're, he's always there to say, you know what, Sherene, that dress is too tight. You know, your curve. But Holy Spirit, no, I want to put it on because, you know, it matches the shoes. No, he's always there. And there's another part of it that we don't have the fear of the Lord no more. Or Christians don't fear the Lord in a certain way. I don't know if because there are no more signs happening like back then, they wouldn't play that game because there were more activities going on. But no, it's like we're so complacent, so relaxed. It's like, oh, you know what, I'm going to wear anything. But the funny part about it, if we're going to the court, we will not dress that way because we cannot be allowed inside. But then when we go to church, it's okay. It's okay to wear a hat. It's okay to do this. But you know for sure that they're not going to let you inside the courthouse. We know for sure that when it comes down to church, it's not like persons don't know. They know. But the level of respect that they have for God, it doesn't matter. Because there's no one to be at the door to say, you know what, take off that hat, or whatever the case may be. Or they go to church with this mindset or this vendetta to say, you know what, anyone says anything to me about my dress, all hell will pop loose in this church. But
I think it's break loose.
And that's that is true sometimes. And that's the thing that you got to realize. I always tell my mother, like, you got to learn to look at people and realize sometimes, like, there's behaviors, right? And sometimes you see the external behavior, but you don't see the motive behind the behavior, right? Sometimes it's attention seeking. They're yearning for somebody, like, because there's no way. And I've been looking like, okay, some of the stuff I see them where I'm like, come on. I know there were a lot of other options, but you purposed in your heart to wear this because you want somebody to give you a speech. And so sometimes that's what I'm saying, shock people, make a liar out of people, where that negative response they were looking for, you just be like, good morning, how you doing? Wow, you're a beautiful girl. Wow. And keep it moving.
Right.
I'm not even looking at your dress. I didn't even see you. That's like, you know, ignore them. But I definitely agree with what you're saying 110%, that a lot has changed. The standards for everything has changed. I remember before you could know a Seventh-day Adventist when you see a Seventh-day Adventist. That doesn't really happen no more. Now everybody's like, I mean, I don't think that is wrong if you. I mean, I don't think that is. I mean, you.
Before you keep going, I think because I've seen reverence in other churches that wasn't Seventh-day Adventists as well. You know what I mean? And I really believe that it's about, you know, the respect that you put on God's sanctuary. You know what I mean? And the standards that the church holds. Now, granted, and that's what I wanted to say to you, sweetheart. Like, you know, everybody isn't at the same place in their Christian walk. And some people aren't even really Christians when they go into the church. And so like the dress code understanding, you know, you got to kind of bob and weave with that. Now, at one of my churches, there was a young girl. She was older. She was a young adult, and she grew up in the church. She would make her face up like crazy, and one day she just came plain Jane, just plain Jane. And I had a relationship with her to the fact that, you know, I could actually go up to her and do this. But I went to her. She was sitting in her car. She had just dropped her mom off at the front entrance, and she was about to park. And I went to her car, and I told her that she looked very pretty. And then I was like, you know, you really don't need makeup like you think you do. And she's like, oh, really? You know, and so she's like, you know, and so, you know, I think that when we do catch them, you know, off kilter or whatever the case, and they dress down, compliment them in an appropriate way.
And
you
that's
know
what
I mean?
It's all about rapport. It's about relationship.
Yeah, it's about rapport and all that kind of
But
stuff.
I'm not
You know,
disagreeing about that part.
I didn't say you did.
Oh, because you were like, oh, baby.
Yeah, because you were talking about all Christians know where, and I was like, but everybody has not really submitted themselves to the Lord either, though.
No, that's what I understand. But honey, from the starting point for you going under the water, there is a certain
that's under the water. No,
listen. No, it's not different. It's not different set. It's like
we're talking about people going to church. We're not talking about people that's been baptized into the church.
No, I don't. Why are people going to church then? It's a certain, honey, in no part of this world or country, everyone knows when it comes on to God. Everyone knows God.
But you know what, Sherene? I will say this though. I get what you're saying, but the only reason why I disagree is because you come from a Caribbean country, right? And let me tell you something. It's the truth. Jamaicans, I think, like they all know about church. They all know about God. That's the truth. But here is different, and other places is different. So let's say even in Jamaica, I remember when we got dressed, when we were there at the resort and we were going to church, everybody was like, pray for me, happy Sabbath. People that weren't even like, look like they was going to church or know anything about church, they were like, good morning, sis, pray for me. It's a different understanding. Even if they don't go to church, they know about church, or they want to. Even Seventh-day Adventism, that's one thing I give them. Like, I've never met a Jamaican that was like, what's Seventh-day Adventist? They always be like, oh, you're a Sabbath keeper. Oh, my grandma was a Sabbath. They always know. Here, there's people who have never stepped foot in a church. Like, they never, like certain people you meet and they're like, I mean, I get what you're saying though, to a certain extent, that even if they've never went, they should know that it's like, okay, it's a godly thing. So, I should do something or dress in a certain, tone it down a little bit. But I'm just saying that what they might think is toning it down might still be like, girl, why you did that, you know? But so I'm just saying that culturally it might be a little different, because I think that it's a different level of respect for God, for godly people, for pastors, for church, for all of those things. Here, they're not like that. They're not like that. They see you come with your Bible, you know, other people will be like, oh, I'm not gonna curse because she coming with her Bible. Here, yeah, they still curse the same. It's not a regard like that.
Rapport is important. I would advise that the women come to the young girls or the young ladies, and the men would come to the young men, you know, just to kind of keep things, you know, kosher. But build a relationship with them.
You'll be surprised.
Invite them over for, you know, for dinner, or invite them to the potluck or whatever the case. You know what I'm saying? Ask them what they like doing. You know, if you like to go play ball or whatever the case, you know, figure out something what you can do with them. You know, that way they know that there's not, you know, it's not just about you enforcing them to do something and you won't even know their name. You know?
Absolutely. I've always been like that. I remember when I was younger, that's what I used to say. Like, listen, I feel like I only see you when it's something negative. Like
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
and I used to be, let me tell you something. I was the one. I was the one at church where I used to be like, listen, I never see you for nothing good, just negativity. That's all you ever got from me. So for me, I remember when I deal with youth, I always say, listen, when you do great, I'm gonna shout it from a mountaintop. If you graduate, if you getting your certificate in ABC, I'm gonna be there. I'm calling out of work and I'm gonna be there because that's how I am. But when you mess up, oh, you got a problem with me too. My niece and my nephew know the same thing. When you do great, I celebrate you. And when you're wrong, I'm gonna let you know you're wrong too. So you can't just feel like, oh, it's just when I do something wrong that she has that. I'm not biased. I support you. I ride for you. If you need something, and that also means being willing to go in your pocket, because sometimes people aren't willing to invest in you financially, but they got a lot of talk about stuff that you should and shouldn't do. Because if I say, oh, this is all the clothes I got, then you're like, oh, okay. No, write a check. Give me some money. Take me shopping. If you take me shopping, I'm willing to wear something else. Yeah. Hey, sometimes that means you got to go into your pocket to show someone how invested you are. And if you can't do that, then shut up.
Shut up. Yeah, for real. I appreciate those answers, guys. Before we log off, anything else anyone wants to share, or any other questions anyone might have, or anything like that? TJ, Shar?
I just want to remind everybody to subscribe to my channel, the Loc'd and Loaded RN.
And I'm gonna have your link in this as well. So
let me make sure I spell it so that he get it right, because I don't want him sending you somewhere else. You're gonna Loc'd LOC''D, and is the letter N, loaded LOADED RN. And like I said, we cover everything. It's not taken away from Simmons' channel, so you can subscribe to both. But yeah, and check me out, subscribe, and
what I want to know is what's up with y'all two having so long on the names for your YouTube channels.
I mean, it's catchy. Mine pops. I mean, I can't speak for his, but mine pops. I'm about to start selling shirts that say it soon, the Loc'd and Loaded RN.
Getting the merch game going. Nice.
I'm about to get the merch game going because I got I'm in a lot of group chats with the Loc'd RN, so I know that they'll want it.
I'm getting my merch too, and Reasoning Together, that's popping too.
Tell them what I said about the page. That's like
well, she said that there's a she told me that every time she tried to log on my page, that she was getting this Asian homosexual page called Gathering Together. Is it Gather Together or something like that? And I'm like, well, heck, hopefully, I was like, hopefully they they stumble on my page then.
I'm like, and then I'm like,
on their page, maybe some of their people stumble on our page then.
Because sometimes I don't click on it. I just try to go on to the search. So I'm like Gathering Together. I'm like Gather Together. And then I'm like, oh, snap. Oh, Reasoning Together. Reasoning Together.
Hey, we gotta reach out to all types,
Yeah. I mean, we for everybody coming to learn this truth, man, and I appreciate the truth that everyone spoke here today, opinionated, biblical truth and all that kind of stuff. And and that's what Reasoning Together is all about. Everyone don't always agree, but as I said before, just because we disagree, don't mean we have to be enemies. My sister in Christ, Sherene, with the Loc'd and Loaded RN, and like I said, I'm going to have her information on the bottom of this, so that when you log into this, you'll see how to get that too. As I said before, comment, subscribe, share.
I just wanted to thank you for having me too. Before I go, I wanted to thank you all for having me. I did have a good time, so thank you. It's past my bedtime, but it was worth it. I enjoyed it, and I enjoy watching the 1 + 1 = what?
Which we actually going to do a couple of more segments pretty soon here, and so be looking for that as well. And we got some more guests coming up, guys, some real interesting guests, And I'm pretty sure we're going to have Shar on again, hopefully sometime soon. And so please go ahead and tune in every time. And like I said, if you subscribe, then you're going to get, you know, you're going to see it firsthand. You don't have to wait for me to post it on Facebook or anything like that. You'll see it come up on your notifications for YouTube. So yeah, you guys be blessed and be a blessing for someone else. God bless.